Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to bring the New London Select Board meeting of April 3rd to order, please. So we're going to start out tonight with a presentation from Sam.
All right, good evening. Thanks for having me. So I just want to kind of give you guys an update on the Buildings Asset Management Program or study that was done. Obviously, that started before I took over as Public Works Director and is a pretty hefty document that we've been kind of sifting through. So as we've been going through it, it's still in the draft stage, but something that was immediately kind of a red flag was that they identified the front shop of the highway garage as a area of concern. And so with that, they said that there should be a structural engineering study done on it to figure out if the building is safe or even worth keeping standing without tearing down or extensive overhaul. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to your attention and let you guys know about that. I did contact a structural engineer yesterday. I haven't heard back from them. I called again today to leave a message just to say that this was a high priority for the town. It's due to the fact that there is some in the roof rafters and trusses, there's some concerning deflection and movement that is far outside the normal amount. Again, that's kind of like the number one thing that was addressed in this asset management program. There is other areas of concern, but that are easier to deal with, I think, and handle overall. But I just kind of wanted to bring that one up first and then get the ball rolling on where we need to go to make sure that the building is safe and we can continue to use it or not. So, yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to let these two ask questions too, and I might have a follow-up, but just quickly, Sam, any idea when that asset management plan document is going to be done and ready for all of us to review?
As long as we don't stay as busy as we are right now with ice storms and all that, I'm hoping the next few weeks we'll be able to kind of do the final checks on it, send it back to Frank Anzalone with our changes and just critiques and things like that, and then have it finalized for you guys to review. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask some questions?
Sam, would you mind just telling us a little bit more about exactly what kind of shape things are in the roof area?
Mm-hmm. So I guess to start, the building construction style and type of that building is something that I've never really seen another one of. It was originally a barn that was then converted to a highway garage, from what I've been told. It was built in the 1920s. It's not like a post and beam style, so it's a very interesting design that they did, but there is like basically large collar ties. Instead of normally collar ties being at every single roof rafter, there's like 4 collar ties that basically hold the whole building together. And those collar ties just have a large amount of deflection in them, like one of them's probably over a foot of deflection. And so what's happening is then it's starting to roll off of the main beam that holds the building essentially together. So the last couple of days with Matt, myself and him have been looking at the building, seeing if the walls are level, things like that, to see what signs the building's giving us of having problems, like the back wall's over 2 inches out of plumb, and the roof has a significant sag in the middle of it, where you can see that since those have deflection, it's pulling the sides in and allowing the roof to kind of move inward. So something like this similar happened at the Academy building, right? Not maybe exactly, but similar, that they had a structural engineer look at it, and turned out that it wasn't as big of a concern as we thought. So this could be in that same ballpark once we have a structural engineer look at it, and that's why we're obviously starting there, because the safety of our people and our equipment and all that is paramount for sure. So, but.
Just to be clear, as Adam was kind enough a couple of weeks back to give me a tour of the building, and I did go upstairs and I took a look at those collar ties with Adam. And I found it enormously distressing to see the condition of the building in terms of these collar ties are, all you have to do is you look down them and you see a very sharp bow, a horizontal bow. And, I'd like it to be very clear that I think we have to move as quickly as possible on this. And I'm not looking to spend a lot of money for an engineer to give us a detailed description of what we need to do to make it a nice building. I think in all likelihood, that building is beyond salvaging at this point. However, what I do want to know for certain is that there's no imminent danger of a collapse or something like that.
Yep, absolutely. And that was what when I left the voicemail, I said basically exactly those things that we're kind of looking for, red light, green light on, being in the building. And I think it's been known that the building within Public Works has had issues and, was problematic, but maybe not to this extent. I started in the highway department, worked there for 5 years, went to wastewater. Hadn't been in that upstairs portion. It's not like we really go up there a lot. It's kind of just like cold storage, so to say. And when I took over as Public Works Director, I went back up there just kind of doing my own assessment of buildings and stuff and went, oh, that's definitely different or worse than it was before. So things change over time, and I agree. So we need to know that it's safe or not.
So, Sam, I would just ask that, if by Monday afternoon, if you haven't heard back from the people you're checking with, then we move in another direction, concurrently, to get someone in there very quickly, in other words, as in within a matter of days.
Yep, I did find another company. If I don't hear back from the one I contacted yesterday, I'll call a second company to try to get someone in as soon as possible. So that is on the radar and on the table for sure.
That would be terrific. Thank you.
Yep.
Jenna, do you have any?
Maybe Kim can answer this. Do we have a line on a company that would rent us, say, a boxcar type of, I can't even think of the name of
Like
those things.
a construction trailer?
A construction trailer.
We can easily find something.
Yeah, and I
we need
think
to.
it would be wise to have that sort of lined up in case you all have to move out of your office.
Yeah, so the office space was built, I actually don't know exact year that the office space was built onto the existing garage. So if we needed to, the bay space, so to say, of that building could be taken off or just, red tape so no one's going in there, but the office building side is kind of a standalone addition on it. So that's kind of a good part, that I don't think the office space is of imminent concern. Obviously, whoever goes in and assesses the building is going to tell us if it is or isn't, just due to the fact that it is connected, but it was built as a standalone structure that's attached to it. With that, if we did have to leave the bay space, we could, operate out of the lower shop. Is it ideal? No, but we could probably get a storage container or something like that to store the tools and the other things that we won't have space for in the lower facility. So if we have to get by with what we have, we will, so.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. You asked the question that I was going to ask. Colin's got a question.
Good evening, Colin Beasley, resident. Two questions, actually. One specific and one general. One is, what kind of equipment is in the building? And the second question, more generally, is can you give us a feel of what the draft report is saying from a value point of view? Thank you.
So in the building currently, it's just our 550 plow trucks, the smaller 1-ton dump trucks, and then the pickup. Then there's just kind of hand tools and things like that. It's not we don't store the heavy equipment like the backhoes and the loaders and things like that. As for the actual number, the value that it attaches to it, I'd be 100% honest, I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Study that you talked about at the start, the maintenance study that you had.
That Frank Anzalone did, the entire study,
Have a value on that yet?
as far as how much it costs for him to do it.
No, the value of the maintenance that he's forecasting in the town.
Oh, for the whole.
Oh, for the whole entire study. Again, I actually don't have that number memorized in my head, but when it becomes when it comes to the selectmen, it'll be finalized. There was a little bit of question back and forth of some of the numbers as far as are these in-kind replacements or are these dollars to fix it in real world, how we think it should be fixed versus just replacing exactly what's there. So, yep, thank you.
I don't have anything else.
Oh, okay, great,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next we've got public comments on anything that is not on the agenda. Does anybody here have any comments for anything not on the agenda?
Is this my turn?
Probably.
All right, thank you so much. I'm David Hess from the Energy Committee, and I'm here to make a request that we move forward Whipple solar array on the roof of the fire station. And I'm happy to give some details and answer questions.
I guess if you want to review the cost of it, Jamie, I know you told us at the last meeting, that would be one question. And my second question would be, it came up at our last meeting that sort of, why would we be putting solar panels on the roof of the fire station if we're also talking about expansion of the fire station at a future date? So if you can address that as well.
Okay, sure. And I see Chief Lyon is here, so Chief, if you'd like to say a few words as well, that would be most welcome. So we have a price quote from the vendor for $60,088. So,
Thank you so much. We have a price quote from the vendor for $60,088. That's 60088. The quote was issued on March 12th, and it's valid for 30 days, so that would take us to, I believe, next Thursday, after which time the price might go up. So the Energy Committee voted unanimously last evening to recommend moving forward with the project using funds that already exist in the Energy Conservation Capital Reserve Fund. Looking at the numbers from the vendor, they estimate that the annual production of this rooftop solar array will be 27,100 kilowatt hours, which will have a value to the town in terms of electric bill savings of approximately $3,000 a year. In addition to that, since the town will be the owner of the solar array, we will be able to sell renewable energy certificates based on that production, and those will have a value of an additional $1,000 a year, approximately. And furthermore, any electrons that we generate that we're able to use on site at the time they're generated will create additional savings, but those savings are virtually impossible to predict in advance. But they'll be positive savings, not costs. On top of that, 3,000 plus the 1,000. So the savings that will be generated are pretty substantial, and then if the federal direct pay rebates are still in effect and we're able to get that rebate, that will take 30% off the cost, making the net cost $42,000 instead of $60,000, making this an even more attractive investment. Plus, I think it will be a matter of pride for the town of New London and all our residents to be able to see those solar panels on the roof of the fire station when we go up and down the main street.
How long will it take to install them, and how disruptive will that be to the fire department?
Good question. I think an array of this size, I just witnessed the vendor installing an array on a private house. The array was a little bit smaller than this, and they did the entire work start to finish in 2 business days. So this being a slightly larger array, it could take 3 days instead of 2. But it's a very quick process. And I might add, the only thing standing in the way is a structural analysis of the roof will need to be performed. We just heard about the roof at one of our highway garages. I think the fire station is in much better structural condition, and it should pass with flying colors. But in the event that it doesn't, then the contract would be canceled and we would not move forward. And we could look at using the money for some other purpose.
Jamie, in terms of, you said $60,000, is that everything soup to nuts, the cost?
Everything that's been identified, and let's see. It says on the quote that this does not include the cost of a potential transformer upgrade from the utility. They would just have to take a look at the existing transformer and make sure that it's sufficient to handle the electrons moving in both directions, because instead of just being a consumer, the fire station would now be a producer at certain times of the day. If there is a transformer upgrade required, which seems unlikely at the moment, it might be $1,000 or $2,000. We would find out the answer to that, whether it's needed or not, at the time that the vendor files paperwork with the utility Eversource. And then Eversource has a chance to respond and say either, yes, everything looks good, or no, you have to do this first. So we just need to keep tabs on that. And then it doesn't include the cost of a potential reinforcement of the roof structure if required. Again, the structural analysis will give us the information there, and there will be nothing that will require us to proceed with a reinforcement of the roof. We would have the opportunity to back out of the contract if there's a roof reinforcement required.
And so Jamie, in round numbers, it sounds like, from what you're telling us, at $4,000 a year, roughly a 15-year payback?
Let's see.
I'm assuming that the rebate's not going to happen. That's just a hunch, but.
Right. So yeah, worst case, it would be a 15-year payback. And we can certainly hope for better.
Jay, do you want to answer the question? Okay.
Thanks, Jamie. So the New London Fire Department was located in the early 70s to its current location from Pleasant Street. It is a trussed roof construction. Certainly, I think from a structural analysis standpoint, the trusses that they used in the 70s are slightly different than what we would use today. I think that it should be okay based upon what we've looked at in the going through the attic space. My main concern was snow coming off of the roof. I'm not sure, I know that our Wilma chief's here. Sometimes there's an issue in the wintertime as far as snow sliding off of station roofs and blocking side doors. So that was one of my main concerns. What Jamie and his team did is they ended up reducing the square footage, covering the roof itself. So there's some gaps, so when the snow slides off the roof, it stays up on the roof and then can melt into the gutter system as opposed to blocking the doors. So that was one of my main concerns. As far as future expansion, at least my recommendation is for the spare bay to be redesigned in a manner to accomplish the future apparatus needs when our ladder truck is replaced in the next several years. And so when that is being done, that's one of the reasons why Jamie and his team didn't recommend putting additional solar panels on the side spare bay. This was the bay that was constructed in 2000 by the New London Firefighters Association for extra space. That was a 28 by 36 building that then in 2004, the rest of the building was connected to the original 1970s bay that we have. So the plan would not be to alter the current 3 bay in the front and then that side bay area. It would really be an adjacent structure that would be modified, and therefore the solar installation, if approved, would not be an issue for future expansion.
Okay. Thank Okay,
Thank you.
so I guess I'll take a motion to approve the spending of $60,000 out of the capital reserve account. Have I got that right, Kim? Okay. On the solar panel project on the fire station.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thanks, Jamie.
All right, thank you very much. So, the next step would be to, put down a deposit and I assume sign a contract.
Guess so.
Kim, would that be your responsibility? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations in advance. I think it's something we'll all be proud of.
Okay, does anybody else have any more public comments on anything that's not on the agenda? All right, old business. Oh, go ahead.
My name is Mary Francis. I'm obviously a New London resident.
Just push the button on your
Button. Better?
mag.
So I'm here to talk about longer-term financial planning for the town. And how this started was I read something that Bill Helm had said at a board meeting earlier this year. He talked about the financial outlook for New London being sobering. And he actually used that word twice. And I'm a word-sensitive person, so I immediately said, well, what does that mean? What's behind that? And I started doing a lot of reading and analysis and watching all the videos and on our YouTube channel. And I started to get concerned because we have the sobering comment. At a town meeting, Will said, we have tons of expenditures coming down the pike. He said that twice. He also said that it's all about staging those expenditures, which I appreciate, but staging would imply that we have 10 or 15 years to look at these expenditures and sort of put them on a calendar, if you will. Then I read the town report, and Steve Thoreau says that the financial picture for New London remains stable, and there was another word, another positive word. So just good stuff, if you will. But then as I'm looking at all of the things that are in front of us, including some of the things we heard tonight that are not on my list, okay, I started asking myself the question, where is our longer-term strategic financial plan that provides that map of potential or likely expenditures over a 10-year period, okay, which includes not just the New London budget, but includes all the other things that impact us, such as the water problem. So the precinct is our problem. Okay, the town of New London uses municipal water to survive. Okay, the school system, the Merrimack County, if you will, that those silos coming together in a picture that says, what does this look like over the longer term? I couldn't find that financial plan. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying I could not find it. I went to the budget meeting last night hoping to make some comments, but some folks ahead of me basically said everything I would have said. So there at least is some initial recognition on the part of the budget committee that perhaps, okay, we do have a missing piece of our overall financial plan or governance plan for our town. But I also walked away more, in fact, everything that I read, every YouTube video I watch, I walk away more sober than I was before. So the new information that I'm getting doesn't make me feel better, it makes me feel concerned. So I guess I have two questions or recommendations. One is that there be a serious conversation. I think it has to be here, but I don't know that. You could tell me I'm in the wrong spot, about putting together a long-term financial plan that's got all the assumptions built in, where we can talk, we can talk about an assumption based on, Eversource rates increasing 30%, in the next 2 years, or 42, depending on who you look at. All the things, okay, that impact our cost structure and keep it updated and available to the public, because I don't think the residents of New London really understand the full picture, but I could be wrong on that. And my other recommendation is that as part of our town report, we include something that doesn't just take a look at this budget year and say, yeah, things look good, solid and stable for right now, but that we include something else that talks about, and what does the outlook look like going forward? Because I think that is a way of getting greater transparency for the community. I personally agree with Bill that it's a sobering prospect ahead of us. I think that we all want it all, okay? We want our transfer station open 5, these are, whatever. We like that. Okay, maybe it needs to be expanded because it's pretty crazy there in the summer. I don't know what, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. We like our library, right? I have a hybrid plug-in, okay? I'm big on energy all of these things, okay, are all good things, okay? But maybe we can't have it all. Maybe we have to take a hard look and say, where are we willing to compromise so that we don't wake up 3 years from now and say, holy cow, this is like beyond a sobering picture, this is a serious, serious issue. We have a lot of capital expenditures coming down the pike. I would put them all in a category that I would call infrastructure. It's a broad category for me. Our stuff is old, okay, it's part of the normal process. I don't see the capital budget there, okay, to support this. I do respect, Jana made a comment at a board meeting, had to do with the fire department, and she said, well, maybe we ought to start saving. You might not have used the word saving. Maybe we should start putting aside money for the fire department's needs today, as opposed to waiting, sort of, I guess, how we waited for the police department issue. Okay, you could probably remember better what you said, but that struck me, okay, as something that made a lot of sense, particularly if you had a financial plan. Okay, so that's all.
Thank you. Okay. All right, next we're going to talk about old business, determining the day and the time and the place for our next meeting.
I'll have Will come up as well. Will and I have been talking about options for town meeting. We believe that we can avoid going to Sutton if we use either the SAU with additional rooms or Hogan Center. Will's been in contact with the college, and in the past we didn't think that they would allow us to use the college, but I think they are interested in letting us use it. Will and I both believe that this could be a good time to try it, because there will come a day when we need to have seating for more than 1,000 people, and it could be done at Hogan. And Will and I both believe that having everybody in one room is much preferable over having little satellite rooms and try to have people hear things that are going on in the main room, not being able to see what's going on in the main room. So I think we both agree that Hogan should be tried in May for the reconsideration of those articles.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree after exploring all the options, and Michael's been involved in this as well, and we've run it past the department heads, and everybody seems to like this setup and that sort of stuff, and I do think it would be a good thing to try. I think it's valuable to build our relationship with the college and that sort of stuff, and in my mind, all roads lead to Hogan, and there really isn't another place that can handle that many people and that sort of stuff. And the setup is going to be challenging. We're behind at the moment where I would like to be in terms of prep on this, and it's towards the end of next week, it would start getting really uncomfortable in my world. It's mildly uncomfortable at the moment. So if we could move forward and decide to do Hogan, I think that would be great. costs are actually probably going to work out to be pretty similar, all things in. We don't have a couple numbers for the stage we would need to rent down there and that sort of stuff. And down there could actually wind up being more expensive than Colby, because they are giving us a pretty good deal, because they want us to be there. There's no question about it. And, you know, Colby, yeah.
And this would be, you're looking at May 14th. So
I would suggest May 14th at 6
after the
PM,
students- And the students will be gone.
and the students will not be there.
So there'll be plenty of
Would-
parking up there too. And all
Yeah,
the
there'll be
parking.
plenty of parking, the access is good. I think people are relatively familiar with that building. You know, it's gonna take a little more setup on our end, just because we've never done it before, but it's a good new thing, and I think it could be something that's very valuable to the town long-term, and, you know, also think anything we can do to build the relationship with the college is a good thing.
Okay. You have any questions? Rich? Nope. Okay, do we need to make, so making a motion to hold the next town meeting on May 14th, 6 o'clock at the Hogan Center Gym. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you so much.
Will. And we can wait now on setting the date for the next meeting. We'll be announcing that on the night of the meeting, May 14th, or? Oh, okay. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay, Lynn, you are up.
Thank you. So, we needed to replace 2 boilers, one in this building and then one at the town garage. So, the one in this building was $14,577.39, and the one in the town garage was $56,350. And I was just looking for you guys to allow that to come out of the town building capital reserve. There's currently $250,000 in that account, with an additional $100,000 to be added in fiscal year '26. I'm not sure, well, they obviously failed, but if you wanted more detail, I'm sure Sam could answer that. But that was my ask.
So that will leave a balance of, after you take this out and put the 100,000 in.
Oh, you want me to do math?
Yeah, fast enough.
Give me half a heartbeat, because I didn't get that number. 250 minus 50, 60,
Well, Lynn does math. Can I
minus-
just jump in?
Oh, you
quick?
do math, yes.
I just wanted to say the boiler that was replaced at the highway garage is not the building that we were talking about of concern. It's the newer building, the 2004 building, that's the larger highway shed. And we did shop around those prices to numerous companies and tried to get the best price we could, so.
Okay,
Sam, what were the costs on the 2 units again? 56 for the one at,
56,350 at the town garage, and 14,577 and 39 cents. It is in that memo. And the balance after that comes out, bless you, after that comes out and the 100,000 goes in fiscal year '26, we have a balance of 279,073.
and I assume this is just because of the different size of the buildings?
Yeah, they run completely different boiler systems. So the one at the highway garage is a radiant system, and it's got a redundant boiler with it now and stuff. Whereas here, it's just a very small unit, because it only runs basically this room that you're in and a very small portion of the basement downstairs. So, yeah, just the size and then complexity of the systems.
Just out of curiosity, was there any consideration of potentially changing to a different type of fuel or anything like that, or?
So propane, we were told that propane was the most efficient way to go with, especially the one at the highway garage. Here's the same way. We did ask that question when we got quotes. We said, what is the most efficient and cost-effective direction to go? And the companies that provided us quotes, said that what we had, which was propane, is the best way to continue moving forward. So
And so the existing in both of these buildings is propane right now?
correct. Yep. Yeah, the new boiler at the highway garage, they believe will be over 30% more efficient, especially since it's a 2-stage system that kind of has a lead and a lag. And then they have a turn-down computer, which will basically make it so, like in the summertime, instead of the massive boiler that we had before, firing up just to basically make hot water, these units can kind of just make it on demand, and it's just a lot more efficient overall. So we took that all into consideration to try to save, on fuel and things like that, so.
you have any questions? Okay, could I have a motion to withdraw 14,005? Oh, sorry, go ahead, I apologize.
Phil Sherman, resident. Janet, you'll recall the meeting we had right here when we started the Whipple Hall
Oh,
project.
I think your mic's not on.
Sorry, red in Concord means on. You'll recall maybe the meeting that we had with the Whipple Hall Project Committee here, where one of the early on questions was whether the town goal to change everything to electricity meant replacing that boiler, because I didn't think it was all that old. This is the boiler that serves this room. So I'm wondering whether that's back on the table now, because I thought there was a town long-range goal to turn everything into heat pumps. And we asked, as part of scoping out the Whipple Hall project that renovated this room, whether we ought to trash that boiler and replace it with a heat pump, and we were told no, it's fairly new. We're not going to throw it away now. Fair enough, but if we're replacing it, I don't know how those pieces all come together. I'm just asking. Thank you.
Getting my steps in tonight. So we did ask the question of like the boiler that was here, why it was so young when it died, so to say. And they said that that was normal for that style of boiler, that we were lucky that we got basically 8 to 10 years out of them, and that's just kind of what they do. This building also does have heat pumps and such, and that boiler does serve part of Bucher. So that's why we did kind of have to keep it. It wasn't like there was an option to, at that time, just do away with it. And also it, failed in the middle of the night, and we didn't really have a lot of other options too. So just wanted to kind of give a little more information on that.
I honestly don't remember, Phil, the whole discussion, but I can't imagine that it would be cheaper to have electricity as opposed to fuel oil or propane. I find that,
Not according to Jamie. Maybe it was.
Yeah, it was just my understanding that the town at some point, maybe Jamie has information on this, had decided that over time, we were gonna go to electric. Good, bad, otherwise
Yeah.
expensive or less expensive, I
Yeah.
don't know. But that was a decision, and that's why that question was asked.
yeah.
I'm shocked that commercial boilers last 8 years, but that's another story.
May I address that? And I'll make this brief, but I think what Phil is referring to is the sustainability goal that we adopted at our 2018 town meeting, which calls for 100% renewable heating fuel by the year 2050. So if the boiler here in Whipple is only going to last 8 to 10 years, the new one the same as the old one, then we have plenty of time to transition to electricity or some other renewable fuel, because this new boiler may only last until 2035 or so. Now, in terms of the new boiler for the big highway garage, Sam, do you know what the expected life of that boiler is? Could we, 25? 20 to 25 years. Okay, so in that case, we could be bumping up against that year 2050 goal with the highway garage boiler, but it sounds like we'll need to replace it right around the time that our town goals call for replacing it anyway. So I think everything's in sync at the moment. If at some time in the future we feel like we want to achieve that 2050 goal sooner than 2050, then we can always rethink all of this. But speaking for the Energy Committee, I'm totally happy with the choices that have been made this time around. And especially that 30% efficiency increase for the highway garage. That sounds awesome. Thanks, Sam.
Does anybody else have any comments? I don't want to jump ahead. Okay. So I'll take a motion to withdraw $14,577.39 and $56,350 from the Town Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund.
So moved.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Yep, okay, next topic is organizing our citizens committee to interview the town administrator candidates. So I talked to Carol today, quickly, just to confirm exactly what she kind of thinks about as the ideal size of a committee like this. And she said 5 to 7 people, so I said we've been talking about each of us putting in 2 names and then the 3 of us agreeing on 1. So she thought that was great. She anticipates the interviews will be done around sometime between the 21st and the 23rd. She understands that we wanted to put together a group of department heads as well, so we talked kind of about the scheduling, where it could be in the morning, they meet with the Citizens Committee, in the afternoon, they meet with the department, something along those lines. I'm hoping that you guys have some names that we can, I have to come up with another name, because I had one person that's gonna be traveling during those days. And I think it's important. He suggested I could do Zoom, but I was like, I think you need to be here in person. I think I would feel better. I'll find something else for him to do.
You want mine?
So, yeah, Janet, why don't you give me the 2 names that you have?
All right, the 2 people who have agreed to be on the committee are John Kiernan and Wendy Johnson.
Okay. All right. I've got my 1 that I've got so far is Mike Morgan. And then I'll work on the other one.
Can I ask, Bibi, the dates that you're looking for people to be available again?
The 21st through the 23rd.
Okay, and so would they need all 3 days available?
I don't think so. But, well, tentatively, right? Because those are the days, not yet, they would not need to be available every single day, just one of those days, I think.
I have 1, and there's someone else that I'm still trying to reach.
Okay.
But my 1 nomination for that would be a gentleman by the name of Kevin O'Leary.
Okay.
Kevin is an attorney, and he's a former associate general counsel up at Dartmouth.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to propose that the one that the 3 of us perhaps agree on would be Peter Nichols.
Yes, yeah.
Good with both of you? Okay. So you and I are going to come up with 1 more name each? All right. Excellent. And that's it. And then they'll meet with the Citizens Committee and department heads, and then we can meet with all of them as well, or not, take recommendations from those 2 groups. But that's how it will move. So moving along, which is great. Okay, thank you very much. So, Town Administrator report.
Okay, I just have, you all have your rules of procedure. If you could spend the next couple of weeks looking at them. Shoot me an email if there are changes that you want me to incorporate, and then I can send the revised procedures out to you. That's all I have.
All right. Good. Okay, any committee meetings or reports?
Yeah, I had a Lakes Management Advisory Committee meeting in Concord, and we had a presentation by the dam expert, and he noted that the state is responsible for over 276 dams. Unfortunately, they're not responsible for Elkins Dam. The cost of maintaining these dams is rather high, as you can imagine, and they're thinking of ways to generate more income for the dams. And one consideration the legislature is considering, which I don't think will pass, they were thinking about implementing a $1.58 per foot shoreline tax on lakefront owners. Well, as you can imagine, some people might be a little upset about that. So other issues they're talking about is conservation, current use, and other shorefront may not be in favor of that. For example, the impact on property owners in Sunapee, Newbury, and New London would be significant, but there is the 1 dam in Sunapee that the state is responsible for. They're also considering increasing the voter registration fee by $5, and the state is considering legislation to mandate ADUs and detached ADUs in New Hampshire. So they're reviewing the rules for septic system design, installation, and construction if municipal sewage is not available. Basically, the state is looking to eliminate areas that departments have jurisdiction over, so they can eliminate or downsize the departments, one of which would be possibly lake hosts, cyanobacteria funds, that sort of thing. The federal government, if you have not heard this, is clawing back $80 million of ARPA funds, which the state has not spent. So the state of New Hampshire is in dire straits with regard to money. It was an interesting meeting, to say the least. That's it.
I went to the Municipal Budget Committee meeting last night. Essentially, they were referring to it as a post-mortem on their efforts to kind of assist putting together a budget for the coming year. I thought Charlie and Karen both actually made very interesting, thoughtful presentations on how they believed that the Municipal Budget Committee could be more effective going forward and more productive. And so just giving some general sort of outlines, if you will, of how they were proposing that the MBC for the town might do things differently going forward, in an effort to, again, be more helpful and in terms of more productive, trying to kind of making sure that things are being very carefully looked at and that there is a certain strategic, to your point earlier, a strategic sort of approach to these things. So it was an interesting meeting to hear the discussion.
Okay. I didn't have any committee meetings, but I did attend the listening session earlier this week from our two state reps, Karen Ebel and Greg Sargent, and the messaging was quite similar to what you were just talking about the state being in a pretty dire situation right now. So we're all talking about money these days. So that's all I've got. So I think, so next meeting minutes. So I guess it's just Janet and I voting on approving meeting minutes, right? Because you weren't there. Yeah.
And I was there, but I wasn't.
Yep. So I don't think I have any changes. Do you
I
have
don't
any
either.
changes?
Yeah.
So can I have a motion to approve the Selectmen's meetings minutes of February 13th, 27th, March 6th, and March 10th?
So moved.
Okay. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And then upcoming meetings. Next Selectmen's meeting is April 17th. And everybody, I hope to see you at the Housing Commission Forum on Saturday up at Colby Sawyer College at 10 a.m. And then we've got Planning Board April 8th, Housing Commission April 9th, Recreation April 14th, Conservation April 16th, Waste Reduction April 24th, and the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee April 24th. And I think that's it. And I'd like to make a PFAC, Police Facilities Advisory Committee, next Friday morning, April 11th, right? At 8:30, okay.
And you're going to cancel the citizens, not
And
hold?
we will cancel the Citizens Committee meeting Saturday morning at 7:30 because we want everybody to be bright and shiny for the Housing Commission meeting at 10 o'clock. And that's it. And I'd like to make a motion to go into non-public. And we have to say our names. So I'll make a motion. Second.
Are you
and
going to
all in
go
favor.
for the consideration or acquisition of sale or lease of property?
Yes.
Okay, so that was RSA 91A32D.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank
Kidder, yes.
So who made the motion?
Casey,
Did you make
I
the
made the motion. Janet seconded. Casey, yes. We have to, when we're going in a non-public.